hello my lovelies, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to show you how to build this amazing gnome lamp with water feature. As you can see, it's a pretty big project, that's why it's split up. Today it's going to be the building, then the next video will be adding the clay, and then we will have one for painting, and then the last one will be the details. The waterfall feature will be a separate video in and of itself as well, because I just felt like it needed its moment to shine. But let's just, get right into it. What do you need? Well, you see it here on the screen. I basically have a wooden block that has a few holes in them, and I have a bunch of rocks. I went digging in the garden, and I have some small Coca-Cola bottles that we are just going to, strip off. We're going to clean them, strip them of their Coca-Cola brand thingy-majingy. What you need is aluminum foil, heaps. Then air dry clay, any air dry clay that you want. You don't have to have this one. Then you also need Christmas lights or fairy lights. You can use also battery operated ones if you want to. And we are just going to start basically building up the base. I want to glue it to one of the wooden circles that you see beneath it, but it's kind of crooked, so we have to fix that. And I'm just going to glue strips of, I don't really know how to explain it. So basically you twist it and that's it. You make kind of a silvery wormy dealy thingy that you can then just use as a base. Make sure that it is scrunched up as kind of tightly as possible, so there's not a lot of air and movement in them, so to get the best possible, structure with it. It's still kind of crooked, so I'm just building up the parts to make it look at least a little bit level, because we don't want it to fall over when everything is done. So fitting it to the base, it was kind of a thing getting it to be positioned just right, but I finally have it where I want it, and I'm just going to glue everything down. Make sure that I use enough glue so that it will keep, when I basically lift up the lamp later, that it will just, everything stays in place. As you see here, I have cut out in the top part where the houses will be on. The best part about that, and that's why I picked this piece actually, is that I can very easily fit the string lights through, and then for the top I don't have to be all, difficult with twisting the lights. I can just push them in that cutout. I also glue the lights just to the top part so that they won't move. And I do that intentionally, because if I go to, put the clay on top later, I don't want the lights to move and disrupt the clay. So that's why I'm just hot gluing everything into place. And as you can see, it's all the way through. That's the best part of this wooden base. And on the bottom I actually made sure that there is room for the, what is it called? The thing that you plug in, the plug. Is that it? I don't know, English is not my first language, so yeah. Then I'm just going to make sure that I can glue the top part where the houses will sit on, and I am using hot glue and aluminum foil for that. Because the base is now finished, I am going to try and fit the houses where I want them. So I have cut up all 3 of the bottles in various lengths, and this took me honestly I think 2 hours to get them to position just the way that I wanted them to. Then I glued them together to make a solid structure, and then glued aluminum foil on the bottom so that I have something easy to stick on the base with. Now hot glue does tend to warp the plastic, so just be careful about that. Make sure that it is not extremely hot. Don't use too much, and Also, don't worry about it a lot because it's going to be covered in clay anyway. So any mistakes that you kind of make, you know, you can hide with the clay. So now I'm just going to make sure that it is as level as I want it to be, because the whole structure is a little bit kind of crooked. It's leaning forward a little bit, and I don't want everything to fall over later. So I just also want it to look pleasing to the eye, right? Now that I have everything the way that I want it, I'm just going to stuff the lights into the bottles before gluing everything on the base. This is how it is looking right now, and now it's basically time to add the details. So first I'm just going to start with roofs. I actually always start with the roofs, and right after that I need to do the door. I never know, but it's the way that I want to do things. Basically I just stuff aluminum foil in the top of the bottle, and then around it I kind of bulk it up a little bit, because you do need to have some structure underneath to support the weight of the clay. And I kind of have a little bit in mind of how I want everything to look, so that's what I'm trying to do. And this is just a triangle of aluminum foil, kind of, you know, glued down. Make sure that it is thick enough though, that if you have a very thin sheet, it won't be able to kind of hold the clay in place, if that makes any sense. So just make sure you don't have to have it very thick, but it needs to have a little bit of structure. And I'm just going to build up the rest of the roofs. I had kind of an idea in mind, and halfway through, obviously, I changed up my mind again. As it usually is the case, it's one of the reasons that this initial step just takes me an entire day, because I change my mind often. You see here that I'm kind of getting fancy. I wanted to create kind of a window here. So I had an idea on how I wanted to do that, but it did not really pan out the way I had intended it initially. Yeah, I glued the bottom of one of the bottles, I glued it on top, and because the center is still open, you can kind of get a little bit of light through, and I just placed kind of a, I don't know, a mushroom cap on it. You will also see me putting in kind of an inner structure, but if I'm not mistaken, I removed that later. I think I ripped that out because I was like, yeah, no, I don't need it. I can do that with the glue. Oh yeah, see, I ripped it out again. You can kind of just see it. Now I'm just going to build up and elongate the tallest bottle. I just used some plastic strip, but it did not really want to hold its shape, so I actually reinforced it with some small strips of aluminum foil. You see actually one right now, and then I just built up the roof after that. So now that I'm happy with the roofs, so far at least, I'm going to make the doors and the windows. So as I said, I'm always starting with the door. And how do I make this? I actually grab, I twist a part of aluminum foil. I kind of wrap it, and then I twist it very, very tightly in itself. Is that the correct terminology? I don't know. Then I fold it in half, pinch it on the top, and then I show you actually here how I make it. I twist it very, very tightly. Sometimes I even grab the pliers to flatten it, because it then just makes it easier to stick onto the bottle. I kind of usually fold it in half if I have a big window or the door, and then turn in the edges. That is usually how I make everything. Then glue it to itself and then glue it on the bottles. You don't have to do this. You can just, put the clay on and then cut out the shapes, but I kind of like to do it this way. So I think we have all the, we have one window left. So here I kind of, show you that I measure it, and then I fold in the ends in itself to kind of make a windowsill, and then I glue that on. And I'm just doing that until I think that I have enough windows. and here apparently we have enough windows. So the top part, the houses are done. Now it's time to go to the base, and first I'm going to show you how I make my mushrooms. So I just have a piece of aluminum foil. I kind of fold it. I kind of make a triangle shape. Is it a triangle shape? I think so. And then you see me pinch it for the bottom that I twist around a little bit, and then when you fold it back you kind of have the shape of the mushroom that I want to use. Now you do have to make sure that it's not too big, because you're going to add the clay anyway, so it will get a lot bigger. You have to make sure that the biggest part, so the flat part of the mushroom, has enough structure and enough strength to hold on to the clay and not collapse collapse in on itself. Wow, that was a difficult sentence. And then just, you know, glue it to the side. I knew that I wanted to make a water feature here as well, so that is why I already kind of had specific placements for at least some of the mushrooms that I glued on. But for the rest, it's just, you know, having fun, seeing what looks pleasing, and just, you know, let your creativity flow or something. And with all the mushrooms in place, that is it for today's video. Let me know down below if you enjoyed this. Let me know if you're going to recreate it. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. Please consider subscribing, and I hope to see you for part 2, which is going to be adding the clay. Here is a tiny little sneak peek of what we will do in next week's video. And then that is it for today. Bye guys.